Ladies and gentlemen, President Trump just had his highly anticipated meeting with Zohran Mamdani, the incoming mayor of New York City. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but for the first time in my life, I loved what the press did today. Zohran was blood in the ocean, and they were sharks. They were grilling that boy, cooking him like Texas barbecue, with the sauce and everything. Smoke everywhere. Trump was probably sitting there like, man, they're usually coming after me. This moment right here was just gold.
Quick one for the mayor. Why did you fly here? Aren't trains greener?
I'll use every form of transit, and I want to make sure that they're all affordable in New York City, and that's why making buses fast and free is a centerpiece of our campaign.
There is a bus that goes.
Well, but I know, but if he flew, that's a lot quicker too. You know, I mean, he's working very hard. For him to be, that's a very long drive. I'll stick up for you. You know, the plane takes you 30 minutes, and driving takes you a long time.
Mr. President, why did you rescue him? We needed him to answer for his Green New scam. Another socialist hypocrite. Come on, Zohran, you believe in the Green New scam. You want public transport for everybody. Why aren't you using it? It's a fair question. Same thing as asking Bernie Sanders why he's always going off on the rich when he owns multiple homes across the country. Maybe you guys are a little too young. You know, older, wiser people like me would remember this, but the socialists used to attack the millionaires. They used to say, the millionaires, they're destroying our country, they're greedy millionaires. But if you noticed, they transitioned like Bruce Jenner to Caitlyn to attacking the billionaires. So now it's the billionaires, the greedy billionaires. And you know why that is? It's because all the socialists became millionaires. Very soon, Bernie Sanders' net worth is going to be $1 billion. And he's going to start complaining about the trillionaires. You thought that moment was good? This one right here was just fireworks. Jack Posobiec, an excellent gentleman. Every time I've talked to him, just a very cool guy. This question right here is what I've been waiting on the media to finally confront Zohran Mamdani on.
One of the policies as well that Mayor-elect Mamdani talked a number of times about on the campaign was shifting the tax burden for property taxes from what he called minority communities to white-based communities and putting more taxes on white people. I also noticed that in your acceptance speech you didn't mention anything about
Hey, Trump just knows he's getting cooked.
America or Christians or white people in general, and so I didn't know if that was one of the policies that you guys had spoken about.
We focused on affordability. We focused on the cost of living crisis. What I will say is that
This guy's better dodging questions than Floyd Mayweather with punches. Like, oh my gosh, he's doing the Philly shell and everything, man. Neo from the Matrix, just, come on, Zohran, you can be honest for once.
I am very much interested in property tax reform because what we see right now in New York City is a system that is so inequitable that it can't even stand up in court. And the president and I spoke about the importance of not only
What? It can't even stand up in court? When has that been challenged? If it couldn't stand up in court, then it wouldn't exist. What a dork.
building more housing, but also making sure that regulation of housing is something that is manageable to actually get through and not the cause of yet another weight that we see in our
But to be
city.
clear, you're continuing this idea of race-based property taxes.
No, to be very clear,
That's what you said.
no, the use of the term was a description of neighborhoods, not a description of intent.
So you intend to tax the whiter neighborhoods more?
No, we intend to create a fair property tax system because we want a New York City that is not only fair and equitable, but also one that every New Yorker can afford.
How would it be fair if you're taxing white people more? What's fair about punishing people who make slightly more than everybody else? And if they pack up and leave and the new massive tax burden gets passed on to poorer people, is that going to be fair for them too? Why am I even bothering myself trying to rationalize this? He's a socialist. Their economics don't have to make sense. They just need enough gullible voters who want to get free stuff to vote for them, and then they take power and ruin everything. Trump looks proud of Jack Posobiec. Zohran said some other things that I thought were interesting.
You say you love New York City. Mr. Mamdani, does New York City love President Trump?
New York City loves a future that is affordable, and I can tell you that there were more New Yorkers who voted for President Trump in the most recent presidential election because of that focus on cost of living, and I'm looking forward to working together to deliver on that affordability agenda.
I got a lot of votes.
I got a lot of votes. This part built up on that.
I think you feel very, very strongly about peace in the Middle East. I think it's,
We desperately want it, and that's something that I shared with the president, that when I spoke to New Yorkers who had voted for the president last November on Hillside Avenue and Fordham Road, I asked them why. I heard again and again two major reasons. One was that they wanted an end to forever wars. They wanted an end to the taxpayer dollars we had funding violations of human rights, and they wanted to address the cost of living crisis. And I appreciated the chance to discuss both of those things.
He said a lot of my voters actually voted for him, and I'm okay with that.
Absolutely. In fact, there were plenty of young people, specifically young men, at Mamdani's victory party. You have young conservatives who voted for a socialist, not because they are socialist, but because he just doesn't sound like everybody else. The new generation just likes populism. Trump actually said it himself. The reason people were interested in this meeting between him and Mamdani is because he's different. Although I think his policies are destructive and socialism will never work and has never worked anywhere it's been tried, he's still very different from the mainstream message. It's like how Bernie Sanders voters in 2016, socialist, voted for Trump after they rigged the primary against Bernie. It's not because they agreed with Trump on anything, but because he was different from everybody else. President Trump said Mamdani will hopefully be a really great mayor for New York City.
But I just want to congratulate. I think you're going to have hopefully a really great mayor. The better he does, the happier I am, I will say. There's no difference in party. There's no difference in anything. And we're going to be helping him to make everybody's dream come true, having a strong and very safe New York. And congratulations, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
I bet a lot of people on the left are like, what? Trump is being cordial? Well, yeah. I know a lot of you guys have been told he's a monster and you have a really strong case of Trump derangement syndrome, but he's not actually a monster. He's a pretty normal guy. And Trump is a very charismatic individual. You could see that charisma on display. You have a guy he's been calling a communist, calling a threat to New York City, and he's nice to him. And another thing about Trump is that he likes winners. He knows Mamdani did something to get the majority of New Yorkers to vote for him. Mamdani is clearly popular in New York. And although Trump doesn't agree on policies with Mamdani, he can at least appreciate it. Plus, Trump is a New Yorker. He's not going to want ill for his city just for political points. In Trump's mind, if Mamdani gets in and marginally makes life different, slightly better for New Yorkers, then that's a win. Because the expectation is already so low, any tiny bit of success will be seen as good. Unfortunately, I just don't see it happening. None of Mamdani's policies are rooted in reality. Everything's just going to be worse. But again, like Trump, I want him to succeed because I don't want to see the financial capital of America collapse financially because I just think that's a bad look. Plus, here's another perspective. If Mamdani gets in and wrecks New York City, what that gives Republicans and the right wing is credibility. We can point to the massive failure of Mamdani and say, look, this is the inevitable consequence of Democrat policies. And Mamdani is the national Democrat leader, the de facto leader. Why would anyone vote Democrat if the most prominent Democrat in the country leading the most prominent city in the country is destroying the place? So it actually gives massive credibility to the right wing, to Republican policies, and Trump is perspicacious enough to see that. Thanks for watching. God bless and goodbye.